Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel and the Galilee on the 1st of July. How about that, huh? Well, the months just keep rolling on. It's about 7:36 in the morning here in Israel, the not holy, holy land, and we're already at 75 degrees on our way to 93. So, another hot day, huh? Anything over 91 is a hot day here in Israel. The house can handle 91. That more than that, you got to run AC. Okay, so we're going to talk about what's going on with Iran, and then we're going to talk about Trump and his options and what's going to happen and what Israel's going to do and why the events facing us in the immediate future could bring about the siege in Zechariah 12, and we're going to do translations today on Isaiah 65 and 66, and some verses in First Corinthians on the gifts of the Spirit. And should have a good time. And I'm going to go to the live stream and put a post up and check it, see what's going on. Yeah, people are coming in, and let me. Okay, I've got sound and picture, and get my post up while we're letting people come in, and that's going to go fast, seconds probably. Me get a typo check here. Good, let me pin it up. Make sure that takes. Yeah, it took. And being a Bible believing site, I'm going to do some praise and then do a prayer before we get started, and that will cause people to leave. Need a drink. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. My Heavenly Father Jehovah, I pray for a good show today, and everything comes out right. No mistakes, no problems, no sabotage, no issues, and it helps the people. And I submit that prayer to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay, let's get rolling here. And one of the big, oh, we got, no prayer requests. One of the big demands that um, Iran is really pushing two big demands. They want a ceasefire in Lebanon now, which I think they're still pushing to get Israel out of Lebanon. But what they want to see stopped is Israel is finding weapons caches and attacking them, tunnels underground and all that, and attacking them. And Israel is finding Hezbollah with weapons and attacking them. And they want that stopped. Well, it's not happening. Netanyahu is now saying we're not going to move 1 millimeter from our positions in South Lebanon. So that's not going anywhere. And the ceasefire is not going to come about. And Trump's just never going to be able to convince Netanyahu to do that. It's just never going to come about, okay? It's just not going to happen. So what is Trump? Well, we're getting ahead of myself. So the other thing they want is they want official recognition that they are in control of the Persian Gulf and they're going to charge tolls. And that's a trap, and Trump's advisors know that, and there's no way he's going to go for it, because you're going to put them in control, and then they're going to turn around, and all the people that are moving oil, they're going to be told that if they want to continue moving oil, they have to stop selling oil on the U.S. dollar. And then if they agree to that, it's going to be, well, you can't sell oil to these countries because they're infidels and they're against us. And, it's just going to get worse and worse. They want guarantees that they're going to be the sole authority over the Persian Gulf waterway. They also demanded that the United States and other countries abandon the use of the southern route, so the southern route, Iran's like on the north of the Persian Gulf. The southern route could be a considerable distance away, and since Trump's been blowing up their radar, they may not be able to detect ships traveling over there. And in addition to that, they may simply not have enough of the missiles to attack. See, the missiles they have are designed to hit a stationary target, except they're ship-to-ship missiles. That's another story. So when a boat's chugging along at 20 knots, it's called a moving target, okay? And the moving target can do zig and zag. That's an old World War II trick to dodge torpedoes and artillery. You go this way for a while, and then you go this way and this way, and it's slower because you're not going like this. You go like that. But the amount of time that you go in one direction and another is arbitrary. It's not, you don't go, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. You can go 3 minutes, then you can go 30 seconds, then you can go 10 seconds, then you can go 4 minutes, and, so they can't do a good job hitting with a regular surface-to-surface missile. You understand? Surface-to-surface missile is the ones that Iran's using is not designed to track a moving target. Now, with a drone, that's another story. Can they hit the ships with a drone? That's what they were using, yes, because they got a camera in the drone and they could just zero in on the thing. So, yeah, they could hit it with a drone, with a bomb in the drone, yeah. So that's what they're mad at because they're getting beat. Now, if they had their radar, if Trump didn't keep blowing their radar up, then they would know where the ships are with the southern, what they're calling the southern route. Okay. Uh, and, they could try to attack the ships with drones. So, yeah, Trump's got a mess on his hands, okay? They are going to humiliate him and humiliate him and humiliate him, get everything they can out of him, stab him in the back, and that's that. He's talking now about going to war with Iran, but unfortunately, I'm afraid he's talking about scaring Iran by having conversations of going to war. And what are the chances of that? Oh, 10% at best, maybe 1%. Even if Trump attacks Iran for 2 weeks, it's not going to scare Iran. If Trump attacked Iran for a month, it would scare him. Look, let's cut through the chase. Israel, as far as I know, is not gearing up for an imminent attack against Iran. Okay? The news people are saying that. What Israel is doing is preparing for the possibility that the Trumpster is going to attack Iran and wants Israel, his bulldog, to go along with it. Okay? That is what's really going on. So, how do you deal with this? Somebody's doing some witchcraft here. Let's give him a payback. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, my Heavenly Father Jehovah, I now want to pay back the unclean spirits for this jackass doing witchcraft in the live stream. So I command all the unclean spirits to depart from every person that is an appointed or elected official or works for any government agency in the countries of North Korea, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and China. You unclean spirits, come out from all these people immediately, never return unto them again, ever. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And, we'll really enjoy knowing that the unclean spirits are going to be very peeved at this jackass that's trying to do witchcraft and sorcery here. And I hope they take it out on him nicely. Or her. Okay. Or there could be more than one. They all get it. Their credibility, their creds with the unclean spirits are going to be bad. Now, the unclean spirits aren't going to tell them that, but they're going to treat them differently. See, nothing's their fault. It's all the fault of the people, Okay, so what could happen now? This is the deal. Is Trump leaving the Middle East? I don't think so. I mean, he could, but I'm not thinking that. Okay? Could Trump make a deal with Iran? You don't believe that anymore, do you? Come on. He's not meeting with anybody in Qatar. That's not happening. Yeah, he's meeting with the mediators in Qatar. I'm sorry, the Qatar mediators. Yeah, Jared Kushner and Wickoff are meeting with them. Let's play the violin. What good does that do? It's a joke. It doesn't do any good. The Iranians are not talking to the Americans through the negotiators, contrary to the fake news that Trump is trying to distribute to that effect. Okay? And, you know, he's ridiculous already. But you see, people are saying, well, maybe Trump has a strategy. No, he's nuts. He's lost his marbles. That's no strategy going on here. He's confused and bewildered and scared, and he doesn't know what to do. So he just bounces around. And a sign of his lack of intelligence, dementia, or Alzheimer's, or whatever is going on with him, maybe just fear, I don't know. He's think. What does he think? People don't know he's lying. It's common knowledge all over the world that he lies about this all the time. A person that sits there and lies about this all the time, what kind of a person is that? You see? What's going on? What's wrong with him? Something's wrong. See, if you don't believe something's wrong, you're not as bright as you think you are. Okay? Something's wrong. If he was trying to do a plot, a deception, he wouldn't be so blatantly exposed. He would subtly do it. You know, when he sits there and says, well, I got to start thinking about a war with Iran, you know, well, that's to scare Iran. That doesn't mean he's seriously thinking about attacking Iran. Don't go down that road. He seriously thinks he could scare Iran, which again goes to show me that this is just a little Lord Fauntleroy rich kid with a millionaire father who grew up in mansions and servants and private planes and yachts and cooks and all that stuff, and he's just a pampered little dingaling and got himself into the White House. I mean, there's been a lot of other mental cases in there. Obama, Biden, for instance. But, you know, this guy, maybe his first term he wasn't this bad. This is bad. You know? Okay, so his only real good option is to attack Iran. Is Iran going to attack the United States? I don't think they could get a real serious attack going on the United States. What I'm pretty sure they can do is get close enough to the United States to launch missiles from either a submarine they have, which I doubt they can use, and get it over there, but a boat described as a merchant marine, as a civilian vessel, container ship, cargo ship, something like that, that has missiles and drones concealed in it that they can launch. Okay? They can launch hundreds of miles away from the coast of the United States. They could be 350 miles away and send drones. Easily. Missiles too. The United States doesn't get into scrutinizing ships when they're that far away, but I don't think it's going to bother doing it that far away. It's probably going to get, well, I don't know, more than 25 miles away and then do it. While the United States has some Patriot systems and CAD systems and stuff like that, there's plenty of places to hit where they don't have it. And that's it, you know. But they're not going to demolish the United States. They could cause, you know, a few missile or drone hits and create a lot of panic, but they're not going to, you know, wipe out the United States with, you know, 8,900 missiles. You know, forget that, okay? The United States has not been hit with any ordnance, you know, in many centuries. They're going to freak out, okay? But can Trump crush Iran? Yeah. Will he crush it? I don't know. What he has to ultimately do, in my book, is blow up the grid, get rid of the electrical grid, and that'll probably get rid of the water desalinators. But if it doesn't, he has to blow those up. Where's that get him? Well, it gets him for a prophecy fulfillment that he doesn't understand, where they got to leave the country. What would Netanyahu do if Netanyahu was attacking Iran? Well, he'd hit their oil, he'd hit their pipelines and refineries and their storage tanks. And he would hit their electrical grid. And he would hit their airports, their ports and piers, including Clark Island. He wouldn't have the guts to go out and blow up their water desalinators, but he would blow up their electrical grid. Water desalinators use electricity. Now, they probably have an emergency setup on there where it runs with a generator, but I don't know for how long. What does that do? Well, it puts Iran out of business. Did Netanyahu do anything to stop the Iranians from closing the Persian Gulf? Yeah. Not easily, though. Massive effort. Massive effort. You got hundreds and hundreds of go-fast boats that need to be taken out. And they're hidden. They hide them on the coastline in caves and stuff. You're not going to find them that easily. You're not going to accomplish targeted assassinations easily. They did just get some IRGC guys, but so what? It's not going to stop anything. They got Khomeini. Did that stop anything? No. So, Israel might hit IRGC bases, but I don't think so. Now, here's how Zechariah 12 could come on. Maybe. In retaliation, the Iranians start hitting the American bases and the oil and the infrastructure, the grid, the water desalinators, the everything, airports, ports, piers, for Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi. Jordan, I don't think they care about too much. And they're going to hit the oil wells, the refineries in these countries, the pipelines. They're going to cut the oil out. Okay? 25% of the world's oil isn't going to move for a long time. That should serve to really spike oil prices because it's going to last a long, long time. So people that need oil are going to be locking in on dates out months because they know this is going to last. And that might easily get you to 200-300 or more a barrel easily. But let's look at other things. More like there is no oil. Okay? How could that be? Well, you need some other countries to stop selling the oil. There's two other countries that will cripple the world if they stop. One is America and the other is Venezuela. And Trump would likely cut out selling oil pretty much for his own use in America. And the nations would get mad as all get up. I don't know what Canada would do. I don't know. Let's see if there ever was earthquake damage to the oil industry at this latter stage. Let's see if it came out. Did those two big earthquakes in Venezuela in the last several days damage the oil industry in Venezuela? It's saying no. Probably the truth. I would say it's probably the truth. So the countries that have oil are going to be pretty much thinking about, we're not selling oil, we're keeping it. Because things are not going to get better in 6 months. and we'll sell our oil now. We'll have a lot of money, but we're going to run out in 6 months, and our country's going to collapse. No, thank you. We're going to stop selling oil. That's what you can see countries like Egypt, the United States do, um, Canada, Mexico. I don't know. You know, Russia's in bad shape with their oil industry right now. Now, Iraq may get caught up in this too, so Iraqi oil will bite the dust. Jordan already doesn't export oil, they just save it for themselves. Well, the oil may be gone, those that are trying to save it. We know America's going to be attacked. That could be the end of their oil. And since Israel is in the attack on Iran and they're going to blame everything on America and Israel, maybe, and it could be the cause for the attack on America, and they're going to be afraid to attack Israel because every time they do that, it turns out badly. So instead, they decide they'll put a siege on Israel. Just saying, this could be. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. Wait a second. Something might have happened. I got an email. No, it's Grand Canyon National Park is getting a fire now. There's a lot of fires in America popping up again. Of course, we're in the middle of the summer, but it's been that way for previous years, and the destruction, the forests, etc., has not had anywhere near enough time to grow back. So it's problem. Lake Mead and the other big lake are drying up too. Yeah. Oh yeah, they don't talk about this because they can't control it. They can't do anything about it. So they tend to ignore it. The governments, they don't want you to hear about it. Of course, they're helpless. Okay, in a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's executive order limiting birthright citizenship for children born to illegal immigrants in the United States. Now, I'm trying to think about what was the Supreme Court thinking about in a legal manner to make them come to this decision, not how to justify it and sling the bull, but did they really try to do this based on law? Well, the law basically says if you're born on American soil, you're an American. So they didn't want to change that and take into account the fact that your parents brought you here, so this would happen to you. I don't think they can do that. So, it's a difficulty. So, um, now the people that sneak in have their baby, go to a hospital, pay the hospital, American hospital pays for it, and now they got a kid that's a citizen, and then the mother petitions the court, the immigration court, to let the mother stay because she has to take care of this American citizen, her son or her daughter. The whole system is stupid. Okay? Other stupid things they did is there was an American military base in Panama that was considered American soil because America had the Panama Canal, not Panama. And if you went to that hospital on the base and had the baby was an American citizen. Interesting, huh? And that happened in other bases too, I believe. It wasn't just this. Technically speaking, if you went to any American embassy in the world and had your baby on the grounds, you would have, that baby would be an American citizen. Because those embassies are considered to be American soil. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever pulled that one. I'll bet you they've thought of it, but it's not so easy to get yourself inside an American base when you're in labor. I mean, you know, the guards are going to look at you, you know, and they're going to call a supervisor. And the supervisor may not figure out what's going on, but they're going to call an ambulance and tell you to go away. They're going to say they can't help you, you know. So Trump was trying to change the Constitution, and the Supreme Court was acting like they give a hoot about the Constitution, which they don't. They were just going on their left-wing agenda and destroying America. Don't worry, Trump's not going to talk to you about this. He doesn't want you to know what happened. So just to make sure that the Iranians rub mud in Trump's face, the Iranian foreign minister said it will not be sending a delegation to meet today with the American negotiators that Trump dispatched to Doha. So like I said, the American negotiators, Witkoff and Jared Kushner, are certainly free to talk to the Qatar negotiators, but the Iranians aren't going to have that passed on to them. They're not interested in it. Okay, I want to go through, we'll switch into Bible. I want to go through the use of the word dragon in Revelation, okay? And we're going to use Salkinson and Delitzsch Hebrew New Testaments to get to the real bottom of what this word means. And it doesn't mean dragon. I don't believe there ever was a flying dragon. I could be wrong, but I don't think it ever existed. The dragon word that's in Revelation, understanding the book was originally written in Hebrew. The Hebrew word was tanin. I don't know how you spell it in English. Well, transliterated in English, Tanin, I guess. Tanin. We get away, obviously, from churchianity for this because they're just going to throw us a curveball with their translations. So, what does it mean? It means things like a great serpent or a sea monster. It doesn't mean a red-horned, life-breathing beast. Okay, that's not the meaning of the thing. But we're going to keep digging on this. It does have a meaning of fitting with a big python, like an anaconda. You know, these things go 20-something feet. You know, and they could be 10 inches thick or something. So it's implying a massive terrestrial serpent capable of constricting and swallowing prey. That's a big anaconda. Okay? An anaconda is not a toxic snake. It wraps around its prey and constricts, breaks bones, crushes, gets the thing to die, and then it swallows it, and then it doesn't eat for a month or two. It also can come about, interpreted to be a sea beast or marine predator. Large, terrifying aquatic animals. Anacondas hang around by water. Okay. Now it could be expanded to a crocodile or a whale. If you're going to do crocodile, you could do alligator or caiman, but the croc is the bigger and the meaner of them. I believe in Ezekiel 29, the word tanin is used as a literal term for the Nile crocodile. Nile crocodile should be a fairly aggressive sucker that will, eat any prey animal that it could attack in the water or at the coastline. Again, these things like a caiman, an alligator, or a crocodile are not going to go attack something unless it's right at the water's edge. Okay? They're not going to even go 8 or 10 feet on land and try to get an animal. Maybe a 20-foot croc would try 8 or 10 feet, but wouldn't go 20 feet, you know. Uh, a croc might jump up on land maybe for half of its body length or something like that and try to grab prey and pull it into the water. It doesn't kill them with the teeth. The teeth hold them. It gets it in the water and it spins and disorients and drowns it. That's what it does, okay? Uh, you're not going to drown one of those things. If you're like Tarzan and you got yourself a 12-inch Bowie knife and you can keep your head about you and the thing grabs you and you start going like that after the first or second plunge, he may not know what happened the first time, but the second time he's going to let go and get out of there. He's not going to hang around. It would be unlikely for the thing to keep wanting to spin around with you and hold you underwater because it's going to be thinking that the stabbing is going to be perpetual. You have some defense mechanism that he didn't know about. It's not going to think, oh, this thing killed me, I'm going to die, but I'm going to kill it anyway. They don't think that way. He's after you for food. Okay, anyway. So it's a massive armor-scaled predator that hides in the water and ambushes its prey. See, an anaconda works that way a lot, too. It'll work from the water. I saw a video of a jaguar with his, it was a male jaguar with his wife, his girlfriend, whatever, right? And there was a big, it was a 20 or so foot anaconda started up with him. And you're talking about a 220-pound cat that's really strong and very, very tough. Okay? It's not a male lion. A male lion would slice and dice an anaconda so fast the anaconda wouldn't know what the heck happened. He'd turn it into a lunch. You know, he's, you know, a 450-pound male alligator is not much match for an anaconda. He can claw it open and he'll bite the thing and rip it apart. Plus, he's usually not by himself. He could be, but his other friends, usually the girl alligators, are going to start biting the thing and ripping it up. It's not going to work out for the anaconda. It would be like one of the stupidest things the anaconda ever did. But I don't believe anacondas are where lions are. So you're talking about a jaguar, a South American situation. This is a kind of an apex predator because you don't have 350 female lions and 450-pound male lions running around. A 220-pound male jaguar is unbelievably tough. I mean, this thing is really tough. Okay, its fangs are probably like that, or at least like this. You know, really tough. And you know what's funny? I was breeding Neapolitan Mastiff dogs many years ago, decades ago, and on a big male who's 125 pounds, their teeth are approaching mountain lion or teeth like that. They're not as big, but they're shockingly big. They really are. And the dog's got jaw pressure like a cat. You know, dogs sometimes have jaw pressure exceeding the cats. Yeah, the big cats, yeah. And they're very strong teeth too. But okay, let's go on. So the jaguar got into a fight with the anaconda. The anaconda was trying to wrap around him, and It was a really bad idea. So the jaguar was biting it and clawing it and everything else, and the anaconda kept trying, and then the anaconda decided that it was going to slink away. It couldn't win. Okay, and what did the jaguar do? He went and grabbed the anaconda who was going in the water. The jaguars go in water; they don't have a problem with water. So the jaguar grabbed the anaconda, was dragging it back, and the anaconda realized that it was stuck. It had to finish the fight. It didn't want to, but I got to admit the thing had spirit. I mean, it was a warrior. This anaconda was a real warrior. So he made a strategic decision to get out of there. And the female anaconda the female jaguar was sitting there watching this. An anaconda head is probably like this, It's a big thing, and, it's thick like this, And killed it. He managed to kill it. I think the anaconda knew it was going to get killed, but was trying anyway, didn't know what else to do. And he killed it. Just for principle. He just wanted to prove a point that he was like the king of the jungle, and he killed the sucker. It was quite a feat to kill a big anaconda like that, I mean, if you had a Bowie knife, boom, you'd get in 6 inches at least. He wouldn't be doing too good. If you kept hacking at him, you could make him into pieces. I wouldn't want to try it though. They're fast. They're dangerous. They're really dangerous. So, if he got into trouble, the female was going to join in. So the anaconda was really pretty stupid. He was thinking he could pick one of them off, and the other one was just going to stand around and watch like wildebeests. Big mistake. But stupid anaconda. Surprised it lived that long. Maybe he was old. That might have been the problem. The anaconda might have been at the end of his life, and he was old, and he couldn't handle the jaguar. Where maybe years previously he killed a few of them. Jaguars they're so nasty. When they see a croc on a rock sunning itself, I saw a video of one swimming to get the crocodile. The crocodile was on the rock. He was out of the water. The jaguar wouldn't try to fight with him in the water. He wouldn't be able to do that. But he was swimming, and he got right up on the rock. And before the crocodile realized it, he grabbed him by the head and bit down. So what he did is he put his fangs in the brain of the crocodile and killed it immediately. And then he had himself a meal. But this thing hunts crocodiles in water. So a lot of people don't understand this jaguar, but it's one heck of a cat, One heck of a cat. Okay, so so when Salkinson and Delich both were referring to the word tanin, I'm pronouncing it, the Hebrew word tanin, where you read dragon in King James. They were connecting it back to the Hebrew word, which could be Leviathan or Ram. When you go to the secular and you get away from church tradition, the meaning goes very far away from a horned medieval flying thing called the dragon that spits fire or something like that. it switches over to an apex predator that hunts by ambush, and it's very massive and suffocating and constricting force like a python. An alligator or a crocodile, very similar, or a caiman, it's just not that spot on in my book. It has a dragon-looking condition, I mean, it looks a little, but it lends itself, I think, mostly to this big anaconda thing, a serpent, Garden of Eden, it's serpent. A devouring, destructive entity. So, can we, does Satan really refer to himself as the dragon, or does the church refer to him as the dragon? It's the church. The Bible doesn't really use the dragon word. That Tanin word is not. If you went back 2,000 years ago when Yeshua was in Israel, I mean, they wouldn't have considered. Apostle John didn't read that. He got it in Hebrew, not Greek, and he wasn't sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is a mythological flying thing." But look, let me explain something to you. I saw the Satan jackass in a vision once, many years ago. And what I saw was he was flying to my house in Tiberias in a big, it was a daytime vision, it wasn't a dream, a big sliding glass windows, you could call it, that looked out over the Sea of Galilee, and I saw him coming at me to the window. He was flying, not like Superman like this, he was just flying, okay? And that's why they're called powers of the air. They can fly around, okay? And he came into the house, and he was up in the air between me and the ceiling, and I, in the vision, I believe I was pointing at him, and I was at this point. This is decades ago. I was not always saying Yeshua, I was still saying Jesus, but in my heart and my mind, I knew who I was talking about, Yeshua. So I said, in the name of G, and I kept doing that, and Satan was shrieking. He was going, like a stuffed pig or something, shrieking. That's what the name did to him. And then he was screaming so loud it snapped me out of the vision. His hair came down to here, and it was salt and pepper, and it looked like you poured olive oil. No, it looked like you poured automotive axle grease on it. It was a disgusting looking thing. Not that disgusting, but he looked like it was a male. He looked like he was about 80 or something. Power, kind of grayish color skin, not real healthy looking, old, cheeks and stuff drawn in. I'm old too. So it looked not attractive at all. He was wearing the right word would be a smock, and it had like a neck with a little V thing here, and I can't tell you what he had on his feet. I don't think I looked, so I really don't know. Probably sandals, but I don't know. And this thing was like a sackcloth, I would call it. It was a thick with kind of little lumpy things on it, and it was a grayish color. And he looked extremely unimpressive, unglorious, just nothing, nothing. Okay, now, he's a spiritual being of some sort, so he can change his appearance. So when the people, when he appears to the people, he probably makes himself look like, something else, or he might give them an illusion of he's something else, but I saw him for what he really is. This was a vision given to me by Jehovah, not by Satan. So I saw him like he really is. And if people saw him like he really is, they'd never follow that piece of junk. It's absurd. I mean, you'd laugh. Follow you? What are you, crazy? It's that simple. Uh, you'd laugh at him. You'd laugh in his face. So he probably got the church to call him a dragon, to make him himself, like he's, he's not. He's nothing. Now, what did he look like when he was in heaven before he got thrown out? He was probably pretty glorified. He was probably quite something to see. But he did it to himself. Nobody did it to him. Okay? He had the chance to turn away from evil and stay with Jehovah. I mean, he chose to go the other way. Free will is just wrong. What does the Bible say? Until iniquity was found in him, until lawlessness was found in him, until he decided to break the rules. You can't have people that way. I mean, think of your society. Can you have people that just decide, well, I need some money and food. I know I'll get an axe and break these people's doors down and kill them, and I'll eat their food and steal their money. See, you can't have people running around in a society like that. You don't have a life. You don't have a way to go. And Satan was breaking the laws like an idiot. He wasn't going around trying to kill the angels and stuff, but he was just an idiot. And he's good at it. So a third of the angels followed him. So they got tested too. Yeshua got tested. You could certainly say that. The apostles got tested. The prophets got tested, So we get tested. Before I was saved, I was in the shower one day, and the Lord spoke to me and told me, this place is just for testing. Or this place is a testing place, the earth. I was wondering about that when I was taking a shower. He told me. Oh, he had his hand on me, protecting me before I knew what was going on. That's for sure. So I just thought it would be interesting to cover that with the dragon. So it's really Satan that decided to put that on himself. Now they use the name. He uses the name Yehu, which is the search engine place, and it's the same word. And there used to be a guy that was a very famous pitcher for the New York Yankees. His name was Yogi Berra. Okay. He was in the Mickey Mantle, Phil Rizzuto days in the 50s. And somebody came up with a soda, if you want to call it a soda. We had it in New York. It was probably all over America. It was called YAHOO. Same. That's a search engine. Which is way before we had an internet. We didn't even have cell phones. We had nothing. I'm talking, this thing was around It was after, I know it was after World War II that it was around. I don't know if it was around before. But I remember we used to get it in glass bottles. Some of you are old enough, you remember when you got milk in a glass bottle and you got soda in a glass bottle. And I think the stuff tasted better when you got it that way, because glass is really inert. The cans, and they put linings in the cans. Who the heck knows? I don't know. But the uh, the glass definitely doesn't transfer any taste into it. So anyway, it was a glass bottle. I guess now they have cans, and it was it was like a chocolate egg cream. Uh, what is an egg cream? Most of you wouldn't know that. It's not Jewish. It's New York. Okay, and it's a drink. And the way you make the drink is this way: you need cold seltzer water. Okay, and you need a little milk, and you need a chocolate syrup, specifically Fox's U-Bet. It doesn't work right with Hershey chocolate syrup. So you would take a glass and you put a teaspoon of Fox's U-Bet in there, fill it up with water, and then dump a good shot of milk in like you would with your coffee. Stir it with a spoon, and you have a egg cream. I don't know why. It's extremely refreshing. As kids, we would go to the candy store and get egg creams when we were playing outside in a hot summer day. You'd pay 6 cents, I think, for a small glass, 12 cents for a big glass of an egg cream. And for some reason, the egg creams actually quench thirst. I don't know why. I know we used to play basketball at night in the schoolyard in the summer. They had lights on, and it would, we'd start playing maybe at 7:30, and we'd play till about 9:30. And you'd be hot and sweaty, and we'd go to the ice cream store called Carvel. No, not that late. Maybe 8:30. We'd go 8:30 to 9. When it got dark, nice and dark, we couldn't play easily, even though there were lights on. Then we went where everybody was sweaty and thirsty. We walked over to the ice cream store, and they would give you a big, probably a 32-ounce thing. Uh, they called it a milkshake, I think. And what it was is you put carbonated seltzer water or soda water in there. They had syrup, and no, not so much. Some syrup, I think, maybe not. It was basically they put the soda water in there and several scoops of ice cream in there. And the ice cream would melt in, and it would put a flavor in the water. And we used to drink that after, because it was pretty, thirst quenching and stuff like that. And it took a long time to drink it. But that was like an ice cream soda. It wasn't, the Yahoo was something different than soda. It was, Yogi Berra used to be on television all the time, promoting, Yahoo soda. The word, actually, it's a word, and it has a meaning called tough guy. So that's what Satan has his disciples call him, and it's a tough guy. You see, he wants his deception. He doesn't want people to know how weak he is. So he's constantly, dragon, serpent, it's a schmuck. If you call him Dummkopf, which means fool or idiot, in German, you should call him something like that, or crazy. He's, okay. So much for the dragon. Okay, so the dragon word in the Bible isn't really the dragon. Okay, so that's something they cooked up. they cooked that up in the English translations, is what they did, and it's not very accurate. Okay, I gotta find my notes here. I think I got this here. Let me get organized now. Here with you. This is Isaiah 66. I go 56. I was having trouble training the AI this morning. It doesn't have a memory, so you have to go back and tell it the translation criteria all over again. That's annoying. But I don't know how they could do it any other way. Well, this is still 66. So where's 65? All right, I think I've got the right translation here. Let's start with Isaiah 65, and I'm using the Leningrad Codex, which is the Hebrew back about the year 900 AD, maybe 1000 AD, right in there. And I'm also using Codex Vaticanus, which is using the Greek, and that goes back to around 300 AD. So these are very, very old manuscripts, and I'm having them translated by AI into English using no church traditional methods or works or anything, using secular sources to get the translation. In other words, the meaning of the words right, not going into what the church uses, because if I do that, I'm just going to be creating, a King James or an NIV or something like that, and we don't want to do that. We want to get the real meaning. That's Wait a second, I gotta check something. That was the mayor of our little community with a few thousand people. Is the former mayor. He's actually a nice guy. I met the guy, and I think he's an okay guy, but I don't know. I heard some things about him that were not so okay, but I think he's a nice guy. I don't know. All right. Anyway, he's not the mayor anymore, but he's trying to get back, I think. Okay, let's go Isaiah 65. All right, so we're doing the Codex, which is the Greek, 300 AD, which is using the 250 BC Septuagint, using the fragments and the scraps and the leather and the papyri, they put it together. Okay, it has nothing to do with the Vatican. This is before there was a Catholic Church. Okay, so there's no Vatican. The Vatican stole the name from them. It's nothing to do with the Catholic Church. Okay, so let's get into it and see what we get here. I became visible to those who did not ask for me. I was found by those who did not seek me. The Leningrad goes a little different. I let myself be inquired of by those who did not ask. I let myself be found by those who did not seek me. I think it's a little clearer than the visible, because when it says visible, they were seeing him, and that's not the case. They weren't visually seeing him. I said, here I am, to a nation, to heathen, the heathen nation, or heathens. Heathens would be better. Not called by my name. So he's talking about the non-Israelites. Okay? Come into faith. But when you come to faith and you become a believer, you become an Israelite. So that's the thing that you gotta understand. Verse 2, if I spread out my hands all day long to a stubborn people who walk in a way that is not good, following their own thoughts. The Codex says, walked in a way not good, but after their own sins. Interesting, I don't know which is the better translation on that one. Verse 3, a people who provoke me to my face continually. And he's speaking about the Israelites. Sacrificing in gardens and burning incense on bricks. The Codex is perhaps a little bit clearer. It says burn incense on bricks to demons, which do not exist. Well, demons exist, so I think he was meaning idols. This is not, the Greek is missing it there. It would be idols, I guess, is what he's referencing. Who sit inside tombs and spend the night in secret places, who eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things is in their vessels. It says in the Codex, all their vessels are defiled, the Vaticanus. Okay. This is, of course, Moses' law was in effect back then. Verse 5, who say, keep to yourself, do not come near me, for I am holier than you. These are smoke in my nostrils, a fire that burns all day long. See, I told you this story many years ago. We were in Israel. We got this first apartment, me and Becker, and it was a holiday, and we were in the elevator riding down. I don't remember how many floors up we were. I don't know, 6 or 7. I can't remember. We were going down, and one of these ultra-Orthodox guys was there, and he saw my wife in the elevator, and he wouldn't get in the elevator. He walked out. Because she could have been unclean. See, she wasn't ultra-Orthodox. And when you walk in the Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods on the street, they stay away from the women too, as in cross the street, so they don't bang into them or touch them or anything. Yeah, and that's, now we'll read it again from the Codex Leningrad, 900 AD, who say, "Keep to yourself, do not come near me, for I am holier than you." These are the draft dodgers of today. Smoke in my nostrils, a fire that runs all day. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silent, but I will repay. I will even repay into their bosom. It means they're going to get chastened, punished. Verse 7, Isaiah 65:7. Your iniquities, that's lawlessness. The Codex Vaticanus says their sins. So instead of saying iniquity, lawlessness is their sins. But it's, you see, lawlessness is a sin. So, okay, sins is perhaps clearer. And the sins of their fathers. And then it says, and the iniquities of your father. I don't like the iniquity word. It covers up more than it reveals. Says the Lord who burned incense on the mountains. Iniquities of your fathers together, says Jehovah, because they burned incense on the mountain. See, it should be that. See, you should put the two together, you get a good translation. And insulted me on the hills. I will measure their former work into their bosom. I will render their works into their bosom. Interesting. Okay. Verse 8, Isaiah 65:8. Thus says Jehovah, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one says, do not destroy it, for a blessing is in it, so I will do for my servant's sake, so as not to destroy the whole. And the Vaticanus goes, so will I do for the sake of him who serves me. For his sake, I will not destroy them all. Yeah, that's clearer than the Leningrad. Verse 9, I will bring forth offering from Jacob. And the other one says, I will lead forth, the Vaticanus, I will lead forth the seed out of Jacob and out of Judah. And from Judah it says in the Hebrew one, an inheritor of my mountains, my chosen ones shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. Yeah, it's the same. It's pretty clear. Okay, 10, verse 10. Sharon shall become a pasture for flocks, and the valley of Acre a place for herds. to lie down for my people who have sought me. Verse 11, but you who forsake Jehovah, who forget my holy mountain, that would be Mount Zion, who set a table for Gad, they're saying who set a table for the demon. Gad must be some Baal type thing they worshipped or something. And fill cups of mixed wine for many, M-E-N-I, and fill drink offerings to fortune. Many must have been the false god of fortune, something stupid like that. Verse 12, and I will destine, D-E-S-T-I-N-E, we don't usually use that. Oh, okay. Destination, not that, I don't know, anyway, I will destine you to the sword, or I will deliver you up to the sword. That's clearer for me. And all of you shall bow down to the slaughter, because I called and you did not answer. I spoke and you did not listen. It's about the same in the other translation. But you did what was evil in my eyes. The other translation from the Greek, and you did evil before my eyes. Yeah, okay, pretty similar. Did evil in my eyes means, you did it where I could see you, that's what it's saying. Okay, and evil in my eye, and chose that in which I did not delight, and chose the things in which I did not delight. So it's like a child doing the things that the parents don't want the child to do. Verse 13 of Isaiah 65. Therefore, thus says the Lord Jehovah, behold, my servants shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but you shall be my servants shall rejoice, but you shall be put to shame. Okay, that's very much the prodigal son. He said, let me go home, and I'll work for my father as a servant, because my servant's got plenty to eat. You see? This really explains the prodigal son. Verse 14. Behold, which is the 10 tribes that left Jehovah. Behold, my servants shall shout for joy from a glad heart, but you shall cry out from pain of heart, and and shall wail from a broken spirit. Shall wail from the destruction of the spirit. Yeah, it's about the same thing. The 10 tribes are not following Jehovah, but the 2 tribes really aren't either. Not correctly at all. But okay, 15. You shall leave your name for a curse to my chosen ones, and the Lord Jehovah will slay. It would be Adonai Jehovah will slay your. Oh, will slay you. And the Greek Codex Vaticanus. For you shall leave your name for a loathing to my chosen, and the Lord shall destroy you, but to those who serve him a new name shall be called. So that he who blesses himself, and the Greek is, the Vaticanus is, who shall be blessed upon the earth. Yeah.
Hold on just a second.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to leave. Do you want, I'll probably be home around noon. Do you want me to record this now or wait till I get back?
It'd be good if you made something. Oh, I can eat the egg salad, can I?
It's not much, but it'll hold you, yeah.
Yeah, I can do the egg salad. Okay. In which shall be blessed upon the earth, for they shall bless the true God. Well, let's back up. Let's read it in the Greek. For you shall leave your name for a loathing to my chosen, and the Lord shall destroy you. Yeah, that's what happened. But to those who serve him, a new name shall be called, which shall be blessed upon the earth, for they shall bless the true God, and they who swear upon the earth shall swear by the true God, for they shall forget the former affliction, and it shall not come into their mind, because the other version, the Hebrew, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hidden from my eyes. You see, the past, the sins of the past are hidden from his eyes. He forgets his sins. So this is, again, you've got to work both these translations from the Greek and the Hebrew to put a good one together. Then you get a pretty good one. Okay, now we're on verse 17. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former things shall not be remembered nor come to mind. Now, when you're up in heaven for eternity, there is no more earth, and the whole universe thing is gone, okay? So it reads in the Greek one, the Vaticanus, for there shall be a new heaven and a new earth, and they shall not remember the former things, nor shall they come into their mind. So we're not going to be thinking about the stuff we think about here nowadays. New heaven, new earth comes when Yeshua appears, as I understand the scriptures. But be glad, and maybe it's not so, but I think it is. Maybe it's later, I don't know. I think it's about the same time. But when you read about them, the ashes under your feet and stuff like that, it doesn't sound like a new heaven anymore. So maybe it comes later. I'm not sure, really. If you're rebuilding the old waste places, then how come we're on a new heaven and new earth? So maybe I'm wrong about that. But maybe I don't understand it and I'm not wrong about that. But be glad and rejoice forever in what I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem for rejoicing and her people for joy. And it says in the Greek, but they shall find gladness and exultation in her. For behold, I make Jerusalem an exultation and my people a joy. That's us. 19. For I will rejoice in Jerusalem. Well, that's a pleasant thought. And exult in my people. No more shall be heard in her the sound of weeping or the cry of distress. It says in the Greek, a voice of weeping or voice of crying. Well, that's quite something. Imagine that. Think about that. And no more shall there be from there an infant who lives but a few days. And in the Greek it says, neither shall there be there any more one who is untimely or an old man who shall not complete his time. And in Hebrew, or an old man who has not filled his days. For the youth shall die 100 years. For the youth shall be 100 years old. And the sinner who dies 100 years shall also be accursed. And in the Hebrew, and the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. Now, the child in 100 years, that's kind of a foreign thing to us. Where do we come across children at 100 years old? That's everlasting life. Verse 21. And they shall build houses and themselves inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and themselves eat the fruit of them. In the Hebrew, they shall build houses and inhabit them, they shall plant vineyards and eat fruit and eat their fruit. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For like the days of a tree shall the days of my people be, And my chosen ones shall long enjoy the work of their hands. And it's for the according, this is in the Greek, for according to the days of the tree of life shall be the days of my people. No. It's a tree, not the tree of life. And they will long enjoy the work of their hands. So you can build a house that's going to last a few hundred years, and you don't have to build another one for a long time. They shall not labor in vain or bear children for terror, for they shall be the offspring of the blessed of Jehovah, and their descendants with them. The Greek, for my chosen shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth children for a curse. For they are a seed blessed by God, and their offspring with them. That's fantastic. You're not going to have kids joining motorcycle gangs and cartels and stuff. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. In the Greek it says, and it shall be before they cry out, I will listen to them. While they are yet speaking, I will say, what is it? And I like the Hebrew better on that. The wolf and the lamb shall graze together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and dust shall be the serpent's food. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, says Jehovah. So the wolf is eating agricultural like grass, I guess, and the lion also. Oh, the wolf is eating whatever the lamb eats. And I think this is after Yeshua appears in the clouds. Now we go to Isaiah 66. Thus says Jehovah, heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house would you build for me? And what is the place of my rest? This is him explaining to us that the next temple comes down from heaven. It's the temple, not New Jerusalem. It says in Revelation 21, or it's maybe 22, it says there's no temple in New Jerusalem. No need for sacrifices. Yeshua did it all. For all these things are All these things my hand has made. And so all these things came to be, declared Jehovah. But to this one I will look, to him who is humble and contrite of spirit, and trembling at my word. The humble. You read Zechariah 12, that's who gets glorified. The busted up ones, the feeble. I'm going to take a fast break. Go through this. Okay. Let me check our live stream for questions if I'm getting any prayer requests or anything like that. Okay. Oh, Iran and China, Iran and Russia are trying to help I'm sorry, Russia and China are trying to help prop up Iran, but they're not giving them offensive weapons. Maybe they are, we don't know. They're giving them radar and things like that. Okay. They definitely do give them stuff. But they're not doing a good job on propping them up. I don't believe they're going to ever really go fight for Iran. Is Iran really a threat? Iran is really a threat for destroying the oil in the Middle East. And they could damage a lot of countries in the Persian Gulf: Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Saudi, even Jordan. Can they really hurt the cities in America by themselves? I don't think so. They could cause terrorist attacks, that's about it. Yeah, Iran is controlling the straits now because Trump's letting it uh, happen. That's more than anything, he's letting it happen. Israel is probably not going to bother going in there and trying to fix the straits for everybody because everybody doesn't like Israel. Israel won't do it. But Israel will blow the smithereens out of Iran because they're our biggest problem. They support the other countries that harass us. So, um, you know, it's Iran is not able to go conquer America by itself. Okay, it can't do that. Can Iran get ships close to America and throw drones and missiles into America and blow stuff up? Yeah, those are more of a terrorist attack than it would be a serious, crushing blow, and But what would the result of that be? Well, it would be freak out time in America, and then there would be cries for, that song, bomb, 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 Iran. So if they do something like that, it's probably curtains, because then Congress is going to start screaming they want this stopped, which means Iran has to go away, like going away from being a country. And that's your prophecy in Jeremiah 49, where it's referred to as Elam. It's unfulfilled prophecy. So, it looks like it's going to be curtains for Iran. They did do attacks in the Port Arthur area, although people don't really like to talk about it. It did come out, hitting oil and stuff like that. Okay, they probably shot at drones or missiles from the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, whatever you want to call them, right? Okay. So I know they could do that, okay? But you're talking terrorist attacks now. You're not talking, war attacks, okay? You're talking terrorist attacks, which is not the same thing, okay? Verse 3. He who slaughters an ox is like one who kills a man. He who sacrifices a lamb, like one who breaks a dog's neck. He who offers a grain offering, like one who offers swine's blood. He who burns incense, like one who blesses an idol. these have chosen their own ways, and their soul delights in their abomination. He's what it is these people will bring an offering to the temple back then, and at the same time they would rip off the widow, the orphan, their employees, sue each other at law, cheat each other, rip each other off, do adultery, get drunk, and go to the temple and act holy. That's what he's talking about. That's why he's saying this. I also will choose harsh treatment for them and bring their fears upon them, because I called and no one answered. I spoke and they did not listen, but they did what was evil in my eyes and chose that in which I did not delight. Hear the word Jehovah, you who tremble at his word, who hate you at his word, your brothers who hate you and cast you out for my name's sake have said, let Jehovah be glorified that we may see your joy, but it is they who shall be put to shame. They don't get that. Okay, verse 3. Hear the word of the Lord, you who tremble at his word. Speak our brothers to those who hate you and loathe you, that the name of the Lord may be glorified and they appear in their joy, but they shall be ashamed. A sound of verse 6, a sound of his uproar from the city, a voice from the temple, the voice of Jehovah rendering recompense to his enemies. And the Greek Vaticanus calls them adversaries, pretty similar. Verse 7, before she was in labor, she gave birth. Before her pain came upon her, she was delivered of a man-child. The Greek is before she who was in labor gave birth, before the pain of her travail came, she escaped it and brought forth a male child. Who has heard such a thing? Who has heard such a thing is in both of them. Who has seen such things? Shall a land be born in one day? Has seen according to these things? Did the earth bring forth in one day, or was a nation born all at once? For Zion was in labor, and she brought forth her children. And the Hebrew is for as soon as Zion was in labor, she brought forth her children. So the nation in a day is the redemption day when Yeshua appears in the clouds, and then they shall all know him from the least to the greatest. He puts the law in their inward parts, in their heart. Okay? That's the nation born in a day. Not 1948. Shall I bring to the point of birth? And you see, after 1948, were the people living here serving the Lord? No. How could be a nation under God, you know? I mean Israel I'm talking about, not the Star Spangled Banner, you know. Shall I bring to the point of birth and not cause to bring forth? See, but it does also say, who is such to think, who has seen such things? Shall a land be born in one day? Shall a nation be brought forth in one moment? One moment. It wasn't 1948. For as soon as Zion was in labor, she wasn't in labor. There weren't labor pains. She brought forth her children. There weren't labor pains in 1948. They were sitting around in the shops drinking espresso and coffee, listening to it on the radio. They weren't, you know, under attack like Zechariah 12. See, it says, before she was in labor, she gave birth. Before her pain came upon her, she was delivered of a man-child. That's Yeshua, I believe. Now I'm in verse 10. Rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad for her, all you who love her. Rejoice with her in joy, all you who mourn over her. If that you may nurse and be satisfied from her consoling breast, that you may drink deeply with delight from her glorious abundance. If that you may suck and be filled from the breast of her consolation, that they may suck, and they may suck out, drink the milk out, yeah, and delight yourself from the entrance of her glory. For thus says Jehovah, behold, I will extend peace to her like a river. So the peace is going to flow, coming in like a river. See, now this is at the doors, okay? All we need to do is see the siege in Zechariah 12 finish, and we're there, okay? We don't have a lot to go, okay? Verse 12. For thus says the Jehovah, behold, I will extend peace to her like a river, and the glory of the heathens, the heathen nations. The it says, I extend peace to her like a river. The Greek says, I turn towards them like a river of peace. Nah, I like turn peace to them like a river better. I think it's clearer. And the glory of the heathen nations like an overflowing stream. So in other words, you got more than you know what to do with. More what? You'll be rich, I'm telling you. Glory of the nations. Their children shall be carried upon the shoulders and shall be comforted upon the knees. Carried upon her hips. You shall be carried upon her hips and dandled upon her knees. Verse 13, as one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you. So Jehovah's going to be like a mother comforting us. And I know we all need that. Gosh, do we need that. It's coming, though. It's coming. Okay? And you shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And in the Greek it says, so will I also comfort you, and in Jerusalem you shall be comforted. Those that wait upon the Lord shall not be disappointed. We're waiting, and we're reading this, and we will not be disappointed. It comes, it all comes. You shall see, and your heart shall rejoice. Your bones shall flourish like grass, and the hand of Jehovah shall be known to his servants, and he shall be indignant with his enemies. And in the Greek Vaticanus it says, and you shall see, and your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall rise up like grass. And the hand of the Lord shall be known to those who worship him, and he shall threaten the disobedient. And he shall be indignant with his enemies. Okay. Now we're in verse 15. For behold, Jehovah will come in fire. For behold, the Lord will come as fire. Well, how about that? And his chariots like the whirlwind, and his chariots as a whirlwind, to render his anger in fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. Ashes under the feet. Yeah, maybe it's not the two witnesses that burned them. The two witnesses burned the enemies surrounding Israel in the siege, but maybe the 2/3 are burned up by Jehovah, or in a way, the two witnesses burning them up is like Jehovah burning them up, because who can do that unless God equips them to do that? Fire out of the mouth. For by fire will Jehovah execute judgment, and by his sword upon all flesh, and those slain by Jehovah shall be many. Many are going to be slain. Jeremiah 30:11. He's going to destroy all the nations he scattered us into. If those who sanctify and purify themselves for the gardens, following one in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mice shall come to an end together, declares Jehovah. See, they go out in the gardens and nobody could see them, and they carried on with their rituals, serving the unclean spirits. We're not going to talk about what they do, because it's shameful to even talk about it. It's disgusting. Verse 18. For I know their works and their thoughts, and the time is coming to gather all the nations. Lost my place. Let me find it. The iPad spun on me. Alright, I'm back, and I gotta find the verse I was in. Those consecrating themselves and purifying themselves for the cult gardens, called the cult garden, where they're worshiping other gods that aren't gods, following a lone figure in the center eating the flesh of the pig, the slithering vermin, and the field mouse, they will be terminated together, the whisper of Jehovah. For I know their deeds and their computations. I know the computations, the gathering of all nations and tongues is arriving. They will come and tongues is arriving. They will come and look upon my display, and they shall come and see my glory. There you go. See the glory of the God of Israel. See, if they saw God, they would die. They looked into his face, they would die. But if they see the glory of God of Israel, I don't believe they die. I will place a marker among them. From them I will release to fugitives, to the foreign populations, to Tarshish, Put, and Lud, the bowstring pullers to Tubal, Yavin, and the distant coastal regions who have not heard my name. They will announce my weight among the populations, and in the Greek it says, and they shall declare my glory among the nations. Yeah. Okay. Verse 20, Isaiah 66. They will bring all your kinsmen from all the populations as a tribute to Jehovah, on horses, in wagons, in covered litters, on mules, and on bounding camels, to my holy mountain. That's Mount Zion, where he's going to build the mountain back up. It was taken down by armies a long time ago. It's in Jerusalem, and the temple will be up high on there. Says Jehovah, just as the sons of Israel bring the grain offering in a spotless vessel to the house of Jehovah. Okay, let's read in the Greek. And they shall bring your brothers out of all nations, as it be heathen nations, as a gift, for a gift. So this is them carrying, this is the next great Exodus, and they're carrying the Israelites back as an offering to the Lord. They're carrying them on horses, chariots, whatever, right? And then they're going to stay here as slaves because Israel's the most beautiful, best place. It's got the food, it's got everything, and they'd be more than happy to stay here under those conditions because he destroys all the nations. The similarity is just as the children of Israel bring their sacrifices to me with psalms into the house of the Lord, and in the Hebrew it says, sons of Israel bring the grain offering in a spotless vessel to the house of Jehovah. I prefer the Hebrew on this. 21, that was just the Hebrew I read. And I will also capture some of them to be priests. And in the Greek it says, and I will take of them for priests and for Levites, says the Lord. For priests and to be Levites, says Jehovah. So capture is not the correct word. You know, take is perhaps better. For just as it's not forcing them, that kind of thing, for just as the new skies and the new earth that I am executing stand continuously before my face. So that gives us a very strong hint that at this point in time, right after the appearing, we're going to have new skies and a new earth, right? Okay. Stand continuously before my face, the whisper of Jehovah, so your seed and your name will stand. Verse 23. And it will happen from new moon to its new moon, and from Shabbat to its Shabbat, all flesh will come to bow down before my face, says Jehovah. And in the Greek we read from the Vaticanus, and it shall be from month to month, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship before me in Jerusalem, says Jehovah. All flesh are going to come. Well, it says, okay, I agree. I'll go for it. No problem. They will exit and stare at the corpses of the men who broke treaty with me, for their maggot will not die, their fire will not be snuffed, their fire will not be snuffed out, and they will be a thing of shuddering to all flesh. Now let's take a look at that in the Greek from the Codex Vaticanus, verse 24. And they shall go forth and see the carcasses of the men who have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, and their fire shall not be quenched, and they shall be a visual spectacle to all flesh. I think that is perhaps looking into the pit. Okay. So these are the things we got to look forward to, and they're really good. you know, uh, they're really good, and it's at the doors. It's not going to take a lot, to bring the rest of uh, the siege on. Don't think it will. There's a few countries that probably need to join in, like Egypt and stuff, but it's not going to take that long. Egypt's already positioned. They have soldiers and tanks and everything and bases in the Sinai Peninsula for us. You know. Well, I really thought that the somebody was talking to me about if I understood Farsi, which I don't. Farsi is what they speak in Iran. The Iranians are not Arabs; they're Persians. They don't speak Arabic; they speak Farsi, which is, I guess you could say, Persian. They speak Persian. I don't know anything about that. My understanding of their eschatology, not specifically to Iran, but to the Shiite, is they follow this Hagit, I think it's called, an extra biblical book outside, not biblical, an extra Quranic book outside the Quran. It's sort of a commentary of the Quran, and it tells them things like the Orthodox Jews in Israel are going to have the red heifer, and the red heifer, the ashes will be burned and put in the water, and they'll sprinkle these ultra-Orthodox Jews. They'll go up to what's called the Temple Mount, and they'll start praying, and they'll say, "Oh, what are we looking at this mosque for? Let's go wreck the Dome of the Rock. Let's get rid of it," And then we could build a temple. And then they're taught that the temple will come and a false Messiah will be with the temple and tell the Jews that they have to kill all the Muslims. So they feel that they should kill the Jews so this doesn't happen. In other words, they're trying to reverse the prophecy of the Quran, which means nothing to me. It's like the Tibetan Book of the Dead or the Farmer's Almanac, or, it's about as relevant to me as reading Road and Track magazine or Popular Mechanics. It's nothing. So, actually, Popular Mechanics is at least based on some science, So anyway, that's what I think it's about. And the Sunnis don't fall into that category. They don't really believe that, so they're not that worried about the Jews coming and killing them and stuff like that. The Sunnis also don't believe the history of the Dome of the Rock area, where they say Muhammad elevated up to heaven from there. They got chronology problems with that, and they don't believe that's a true story. So they don't value the Dome of the Rock as much as the Shiites do. So that's a kind of a controversial landmark they all seem to agree more on the BlackRock thing in Saudi Arabia. Um, so if that makes any sense to you guys. So anyway. It looks like we're headed for a falling out with America. I don't know when it's going to start and over what. If Trump's going to attack Iran, he's going to blow kisses at Netanyahu and get Netanyahu to join in, and it's going to be bombs away. But I don't think they have the ability to bomb the missile cities that effectively. I think they do have the capability of sending special forces in and attacking parts of these missile cities, such as ventilation ducts, air ducts, exhaust ducts for the all right, I'm going to get a prayer. Let me take another one. I didn't finish the going through all the comments here. Um, yeah, I don't think they were so focused on America. I thought they were focused on Israel. Maybe they're focused on America because America helps Israel, and they're afraid because of that. Iran wants ICBMs to hit Europe and America. That's what they want. You see, the real so-called, what the Americans call the axis of evil is North Korea, China, Iran, Russia, and with that comes other places like Belarus and stuff like that. Where Afghanistan fits in, I don't know for sure. You know, there's loose ends. Where does Turkey fit? Where does Egypt fit? You know, I don't know. So, um, so there's, definitely an anti-American uh, feeling in Iran for sure. Uh, but I don't know what they're afraid of from America. I know that they're afraid of from Israel, but I'm not so sure what they're afraid of from America. So, I think it's pretty bad how Trump doesn't really know what he's doing, yet he's doing it. But okay, so we'll have to see. Trump's in a snare. Jeremiah 50:24. America actually is in a snare, and the snare is closing, and they don't know it, but the believers do. That believe the prophecies in the Bible. All right, especially believe America's the daughter of Babylon. A lot of America refuses to believe that. They don't think America could go wrong. Them with their 50 pentagrams on the flag can't go wrong, right? All right, so how do we go with this? Let's go. Let's get a prayer for everybody. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, B'Shem, Yeshua, HaMashiach, I pray for me and my wife and all the true believers in the households, that we have your peace, safety, protection, joy, shalom, peace, and your strength, stamina, and endurance, and your healing and recuperative power flowing through us. And for our animals and pets, we pray that we would be safe, secure, and happy, healthy, and whole. And I pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I pray for all the believers that need a house. They don't have a home, they need a home. Or they have a place to live and it's not good, and they need or want to have a better one for some reason. And I pray they get those also. And I pray that those of us that need a job, need work, find work. Those of us that need clients or customers, find that also. Those of us that I'm thinking. Yeah, that's it. Those of us that need clients and customers. Okay. And I pray that we all know more about the Bible, learn more about the Bible, and get better with the Bible. I pray you help me with the translations. And I pray you help me control the AI to make the translations exactly the way I want them. And I pray for me to be able to do better videos, and I pray to be able to work on the podcast system with Spotify, and also to be able to get more videos up on YouTube in foreign languages so we can reach out to the world. And I pray all this to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And you can agree with these things if you're a believer. Now we'll do some spiritual warfare. It'll be a little different. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, I pray for me and my wife and all the true believers and our households and families. If any of us have a demon, that the demon immediately departs from any of these people, never to return again. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And if there's any witchcraft or sorcery targeting or directed at any of these people, it is also cast null and void, of no value, no effect forever, shall never return, even in a similar or the same form, for all time. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And you can agree with that also. All right. So that's all she wrote for me, and please pray for me. I feel like a lot of times I just ride on your prayers, and I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. Thanks, guys.